I've been fortunate to spend a lot of time lately with the all-new Toyota Sequoia. First the capstone model, followed by this TRD Pro, and I've certainly enjoyed my time with the Sequoia. It is a very impressive new SUV, and it's made a lot of steps forward from the outgoing second-generation Sequoia. Unfortunately, Toyota is going to be taking this back tomorrow, and so I figured to kind of wrap things up, I would make one final video on the Sequoia, just kind of talking about some of the lessons learned, some of the things that I really like about this new model, some of the things that I think they could have done better, and just kind of give you an overall recap. One thing I think Toyota really knocked out of the park on this new Sequoia is the exterior styling. I think it is absolutely beautiful. And I feel like sometimes you'll see a vehicle in pictures, but then once you see it in person from certain angles, it can look a little bit funny. And that's not the case with the Sequoia. I think it looks good from every angle, from every viewpoint. And the other thing that's really cool is that it looks so different in the various trim configurations. The capstone model that I had before and this TRD Pro model, despite the fact that in general they're the exact same design, they look like two completely different vehicles because of the little accents and touches that Toyota has made to differentiate the different trim levels. Of course, the capstone model has a very high-end, upscale appearance to it, and the TRD Pro is very bold. It's got a much more aggressive look to it. Of course, the Solar Octane Orange is a piece of that. But anyway, the styling is something that I really appreciate about this new Sequoia. There haven't been any real surprises when it comes to the interior of the Sequoia because I had my 2022 Tundra before and they're essentially identical. But the fact that I sold my Tundra and haven't driven it in a while, this has been a refresher of how much I appreciate this interior, and it makes me really miss my Tundra even more. It's a really nice modern upscale design. It's got a lot of great luxury and tech features. It's a very nice clean layout. The only thing that, just like my Tundra, drives me crazy about this vehicle is the multimedia display. It is just bad. The software is bad. Hopefully Toyota will do some sort of an update at some point to just clean that up and get rid of some of the bugs. But that's the one thing I certainly haven't missed. Otherwise, have just loved this interior. Now, one thing that has definitely been interesting about having this TRD Pro model in particular, and even the capstone actually, is that my Tundra was the limited trim, which is one of the lower end trim levels on the Tundra. And so I was really curious to see with the capstone and with the TRD Pro if it really raised the bar in terms of what the interior was like. And I've been a little bit underwhelmed from that standpoint. I would say that the capstone definitely had some more touches to give it that more high-end premium feel. So, you know, they made some pretty good progress on that model in a way. The TRD Pro, though, is basically identical to my limited model. You know, you get a few little touches here and there, but they're pretty minuscule overall. And I feel like they could have done a bit more to this interior to kind of go along with the halo status of this being the TRD Pro. I think it should have some higher end materials, more touches, more things to really kind of set it apart from the rest of the Sequoia lineup. Probably the thing that I was most excited about with trying out the Sequoia is that it's got the iForce Max hybrid engine as opposed to the standard iForce gas engine that I had on my Tundra. This has more horsepower, more torque, it's faster, and it's also rated higher in terms of fuel efficiency. And so I was really curious to test it out and see again if it raised that bar when compared with the Tundra. And once again, I've been a little bit underwhelmed with it. Not to say that it isn't a great powertrain. I think more than that, it actually speaks volumes to the base powertrain on the Tundra, which is fantastic. It's got an abundance of horsepower and torque, very powerful. At no point with my Tundra did I ever feel like there was a lack of power. And so that's the thing with the Sequoia, even though it's got more power, I think because my Tundra had so much to begin with, it's almost excess, where I don't even notice the difference in terms of power. Now, it's possible, you know, maybe towing or something, you might notice that differential, but it's not something I was able to notice in kind of a day-to-day drive with this Sequoia. The other thing I was curious about, though, is to see where it landed in terms of fuel efficiency. It's not rated a whole lot higher than the standard gas engine. Four-wheel drive Tundra is rated at 17 and 22. This is rated at 19 and 22. And I've mentioned before already that my Tundra came in far lower than those fuel economy numbers. And likewise, this hybrid powertrain comes in quite a bit lower than those EPA numbers in terms of my real world driving experience. But once again, it's not to say that it's not a great powertrain. It's been really impressive to see how seamless the hybrid system is in this Sequoia. It's proof that Toyota has really perfected the hybrid powertrain over the years in terms of just when it turns on and off or engages or disengages, you can barely even notice it. Really, the only giveaway is the artificial sound that you're getting in the cabin when the gas engine is running, and then also the artificial sound that you get outside the vehicle for pedestrians to let you know that a quiet, electric-powered vehicle is approaching. But beyond that, the switching between gas and hybrid is so seamless. It's impressive how smooth they've made that. One thing that was interesting is I've spent a lot of time trying to kind of hypermile with the hybrid powertrain and see if I could boost those fuel economy numbers. And I have found that if you really feather the throttle, that it is possible to really increase that fuel efficiency. This TRD Pro Sequoia is actually the first TRD Pro Toyota that I've ever driven. And I was really curious to see what the experience would be like, to see if it really elevated the experience that much when compared with a non-TRD Pro counterpart. I got to do that with the Capstone Sequoia, which of course is still a really high-end model, but then also comparing it to my limited Tundra. And I already kind of alluded to the fact that the interior didn't really do it for me. I didn't feel like they raised the bar that much. And that was kind of true about the overall experience with the Sequoia. Not to say, again, that there's anything wrong with it. It's a great vehicle, but I wasn't convinced that the price tag on the TRD Pro is really all that justified. I feel like it's almost just to get a model without all the chrome. So you're paying a lot of money to get it de-chromed. There were two things about this model in particular that I felt did elevate the experience. One is the TRD Pro exhaust. It sounds so much better than the stock exhaust. It's got a really nice sound outside the vehicle, and then likewise inside the cabin. Even though you've got the artificial audio coming through the JBL speaker system, you can hear that as well. And so it does elevate that sound experience when compared with a non-TRD Pro model. The other thing that I felt really set this apart was the Solar Octane Orange, which is kind of funny because I don't know if I would necessarily want this color myself because it is so bright. It's a little bit obnoxious, but it makes this vehicle a head turner. Of course, some people are probably looking at the vehicle because it's the TRD Pro model and because it's an all-new Sequoia. So there's a lot of people that are curious anyway because there aren't a lot of these out on the road. But people that don't know anything about cars are still very curious when they see this drive by because it's so loud, it's so in your face. And that's one of the things about TRD Pros is that they do offer them in some pretty cool, unique colors each year. Of course, Solar Octane is the color of this year. And there's a piece of me that's like, yeah, maybe I would want Solar Octane because it does draw so much attention. And it's really cool when you're coming into a parking lot or something, like out of the grocery store or something, and you see it sitting over there. Or I was up skiing the other day and you come out to the field of all the cars in the parking lot and you kind of forget where you parked. Well, this is pretty easy to pick out. And so there is something that's kind of cool about the orange that we get on this. And then of course the marker lights and the Raptor lights up front, the Heritage grille, all those little pieces do make it a really attractive vehicle. But those things aside, it does feel like despite the status that it has within the Toyota lineup, that it was maybe a little bit of a letdown when compared with what is otherwise a perfectly good SR5 Limited, Platinum, or Capstone model. Well, it goes without saying that I'm a huge fan of the all-new 2023 Toyota Sequoia. I've really enjoyed the opportunity to experience it in depth in both the Capstone and TRD Pro trim levels, and I am sad to say goodbye to this vehicle tomorrow. It's been a lot of fun, and I wish I could keep it. I'd be lying if I told you that I haven't been shopping local dealer inventories just to see what the options look like, but there's two things that are pretty much holding me back. The first one is the fuel efficiency, which is not terrible for a vehicle this size, but it is pretty bad compared with smaller SUVs. I could probably look past that except for the price tag. And that's the other thing that's really holding me back is that it is not a cheap vehicle. It's quite pricey. The base SR5 model, you're looking at about $60,000. And then of course the TRD Pro model, which is what I'd really want, is about $80,000. So that's a hurdle that I've got to get over, but we'll see. It's definitely a possibility. I'm considering it. There's so much to love about the vehicle otherwise, though. It's beautiful inside and out. It's got a ton of nice upgrades compared with the second generation Sequoia. A lot of great luxury and tech features. It is a pleasure to drive. It's so comfortable, extremely powerful, and there's really almost nothing that I don't like about it. It's a great vehicle inside and out. So love to hear what you guys think about the all-new Sequoia in the comment section below. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And for more Toyota videos, be sure to subscribe. In the meantime, thanks for watching.